Hello, everybody. This is Brian Parker. Our show Head to Head is next in just a few minutes. Actually, it's going to start roughly around 6:05. We normally go live at about 6 o'clock, and then we'll have about a 5 minute countdown. Hopefully, that gives everybody a chance to log in ahead of time and get ready for the show. So, how are y'all doing? What's going on out there? I'm feeling pretty good. Trying to get myself together. It's got to tighten up right before the show starts and everything. But I love getting on just a few minutes early and just acknowledging all of the people out there that have helped make our channel grow and continue to ask if you're a content creator, hey, please, by all means, um, reach out to us at theparkermedia@gmail.com. I would love to get more and more content on our channel. What is our channel? It is called Empower TV. If you have a Roku device, a Roku TV, that kind of thing, all you have to simply do is go to add channel on your Roku device and type in the letter N, power, all one word. It should come up. You can add it. And yes, that is us. We are actually on Roku and have been for the last year and as of yesterday, 1 month. So now 13 months in, we have been live streaming on Roku. Our show, Head to Head and Head to Head Sports, we actually stream those live on Wednesdays for Head to Head Sports, where we go over the week of the NFL. Myself and my co-host Randall Hargrove do that every week. Bring that to you. We kind of recap what happened and what we're looking forward to the upcoming weekend. We give that to you all 17 weeks of the regular season, and then going into the 4 weeks of the postseason, all the way up to the Super Duper Bowl. And then every week, we also on Thursdays at 6 o'clock present our live stream show Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he. We love for you to tune into that. We stream that show. We stream both shows actually on Facebook. We stream it on LinkedIn. We stream it on YouTube. So, hey, if you hadn't had a chance, in addition to adding us on your Roku channel, which not only will give you access to Head to Head, but if you're a content creator or you'd like to see new and different content, we actually stream other content as well. Talk shows, podcast, short films, comedy, all kinds of things are on Empower TV on Roku. Your support will eventually get us onto other streaming platforms such as Amazon Fire, such as Apple TV and Google TV. So keep it going and everything else. And like I was about to say, in addition to all of that, we also have our YouTube channel. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Anytime we go on air and we broadcast, you'll get a notification that Empower TV is live and on the air, which is really cool. Another thing that we like to do for our sports show and for our main show on Thursdays is we have a live chat. So if you want to send us a message through the chat box based on the conversation that we're having, if there's any questions that you have for the panel, please send them through. And if you're a little bolder, if you don't mind being on air and you would like to jump on air, you can do that. Simply send me a message. I will send you the link and I will bring you on the air with me and the rest of the panel. Now, if you're too cute, no, you can't do it because I can't have nobody showing me up. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just kidding. We'll bring anybody on. We love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your input, hear your voices. Even if they differ with our own, that's not necessary. Agreement is not necessary. Just sometimes the agreement to be able to disagree and hold a intelligent conversation. Now, I'm not about the conspiracy theories. I'm not about all that kind of mess. So, somebody start telling me all this crazy stuff that's been debunked and things like that. That's kind of where we draw the line. But, if everybody comes from a position of facts, but maybe it's just a interpretation and that kind of thing, hey, we can have that conversation. At the end of the day, it's all about having the conversation. That's what Head to Head is about. We don't really sugarcoat a lot. We really don't sit there and just try to put lipstick on a pig. What we really want to do is be actual, factual, and bring you as much truth as we possibly can, and talk about things that really need to be talked about. You know, that's all you can really ask, is just for people to be open and transparent. And we try to do that every single week. We really appreciate everybody for being on the ride with us. I can't thank you guys enough. And, you know, in the next couple of seconds, we're going to go ahead and get started with our live stream of the show. Hope you can join us. But yeah, let's get cranking, y'all. Up next, right after this 5-minute countdown, we'll be head to head.
It's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. It's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he. And we are back for another week of good old conversation and talking junk about the Dallas Cowboys. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But now we are back.
Topic right now, man. That's a sensitive topic right now. I'm all in my feelings. I'm all in my feelings about that. Jesus.
So we like to thank everybody that is coming in and watching us on Facebook Live, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And as always, you can always catch the Empower TV network on Roku as well. We will stream this show at 11 a.m. on Fridays, and it is also on video on demand after that on Roku TV. There should be about 46 episodes. If you want to catch up and binge watch them all, hey, go for it. They're there. But you can, if you don't have Roku on your TV, but you do have a Roku device, you need to add Empower TV to your life. All you got to do is go to Add Channel and search Empower, all one word, the letter N, word power, and it will come up, and then you will be in the know. You will also then have access to other content that we have there. We have podcasts, we have short films, we have comedy, talk shows, and all those kind of things, so you can watch that as well. And hey, last but not least, we have our own YouTube channel, so go to YouTube, search out Empower TV Network, subscribe to that channel, share it with other people. We want to grow that. Every time we go live and you're on YouTube, you will get that little bell notification letting you know that Empower TV is now live. How cool is that? So, hey, we're trying to do this for you guys. We're trying to stream as much as possible. Anytime you want to join the show, feel free, either via our live chat, where I will read your comments and try to answer them the best I can, or if it's for a certain panel member, we can do that as well. If you would like to join the panel, meaning you want to come on, you want to fight me, you can come do that. I'm good with that. I'll bring you on. Just ask me for the link. I'll send you the link, and we'll bring you in live, and we'll go ahead and have a good conversation. Agreement is not required, but facts are. So don't come up with no conspiracy stuff, or you get the boot real quick. Like, with all that said, we running a little light this week with our panel, but everybody's got things going on. I know Jermaine's overseas. Lori's working on a project. Brad's got some dad duties. Everybody's out doing their different things, and that's fine. You know, that's the one thing about our panel. Sometimes the panel's a little light. Sometimes it's 5-6 people. It just really depends, and that's certainly okay. We run the show regardless if it's 1 or 2 or 10. We're gonna do the same thing. So, with all that said, let me welcome in our other panelists today. We got Mr. CJ, Mr. TNTBS Jones. How you doing, sir?
Man, baby. What it is.
Well, how's your week been, sir?
Man, it's been an emotional roller coaster, honestly, man. I'm happy that football is back as a whole. Like we've been speaking about my boys all day. I was happy about the performance. I'm a true Cowboy fan, so win, lose, or draw, I'm forever faithful. I'm DC4L for real. But there are times where I'm just break it out. Bruh, when I read the list of all the injuries and of who's not coming back, I was just like, right when you think you see the light at the end of the tunnel, I'm just like, man, literally, we can't win for losing. We literally cannot win because
you keep
literally losing. We are losing. We're losing before we get a game. So I'm like, God. So yeah. So what little bit of hair I can grab, I'm trying to snatch it off. I'm like, damn, we look so good, man. Like on a roster, we look so good. We got all this great, all these great athletes, all this great potential, and just
your team reminds me of Facebook gangsters. And what I mean is that, a lot of times people are big, bad, and bold on Facebook. Everybody can gas themselves up on Facebook like, yeah, I'm bad, man. If I was in front of you right now, man, I whoop your ass, man. You ain't got nothing. You don't want none of this smoke. Then you see the person in real life, man, won't even say these words to you. Just sitting there quiet like a little church mouse. Cowboys kind of like that too, man, because if you could sit there and play them games on paper, man, woo, boy, they got something for you. Boy, if you sitting there, I hold up my paper, you hold up your paper, you got the Cowboys on your paper, and I got my team, and you keep doing like this, Cowboys are gonna win. They going to the paper Super Bowl. Ain't no paper Super Bowl. That's why we play the game. And unfortunately, injuries are part of the game, and that's actually what makes the game interesting, is because it's not about talent. A lot of times it's about strategy. It's about, hey, how do we overcome all of this adversity and still get to the promised land? Because there's very few times when a team that starts out in week 1 looks like the same team week 17 now, at the end of the season. Right. A lot of times they go through so many changes and transformations. That's why you have to rely on depth. That's why you have to rely on coaching. A lot of times when people think about the NFL draft, they think about the first round picks and maybe sometimes the second round picks, but the true gems are those ones that you find in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds that you can develop. And, they may not be immediate starters. Maybe they work themselves into a rotation so that when a starter does go down
off the practice team,
right, and then they have to step into it, they're fully able, they're more than qualified to step out there, and your confidence level in them is still relatively high. So, not to turn this into a sports show, but that was one of my worries with Dak Prescott is that, hey, not just him, but a lot of these starting quarterbacks, I mean, the drop off from the starter to the backup is so huge on a lot of these teams that if the starter goes down,
the whole team falls.
That could be your season. So that has always worried me about these teams. And it's not just Dallas. Even my team, Carolina, if Darnold goes down, I'm not enthusiastic about PJ Walker. And if Lamar Jackson goes down in Baltimore, I know that his backup ain't, the only team probably wanting they started to go down in Chicago. They can't wait for Andy Dalton to get hurt. They want to see Justin Fields so bad. I could have thought I saw Chicago Bear fans running out on the field throwing damn banana peels out in the backfield, trying to get him to twist his ankle and stuff. they like,
Yeah,
oops.
I didn't even, I didn't even watch it. I didn't watch it. I think hold on. I'm lying. I think I watched like the first quarter, and after that, I was done. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then,
they ready for they started to blow an ankle up. Yeah, they ready. They done
but you know
already
what?
wrote. They done
I'm
already
actually-
rewrote. They done already wrote the get well cards and got the flowers with FTD on hold and everything.
Damn,
Thanks
don't
for
you want to get
everything
hurt?
you doing, Andy. He like, wait a minute, I'm still playing. Yeah, not
No,
for
like,
long. Not for long.
like you ain't got no headache or nothing. No,
Yeah, yeah.
nothing. No.
You can
Yeah,
cuss. Hey,
but nah, let's go ahead and jump into it, bro. Like,
yeah, let's jump
cause
into it. We've
cause
had
I've been I've
Yeah.
been trying to keep myself abreast with everything that's going on, like in the court systems and stuff. And so now I get highlights now as to like what's going on, like with the officers that are at least getting arrested. I'm gonna say it like that.
all right.
Because I don't want to overshoot, but I don't know what it is. It's almost kind of like looking at people that came up like in the 80s and still trying to rob banks in 2000, and you're like, does that make any sense? Like, there's cameras and stuff. So that's like my perspective right now with these cops, that are using excessive force, still killing, choking out people and stuff like that. You would think that they would be taking these lessons and or seeing these videos and stuff that's being either forced to get released, or you get a police force like I want to say it's Camden, when I think they were the first ones that broke down their whole entire police force, and then
Right. That
took
was where the whole defunding the police came from,
right.
because they revamped their entire police
Right.
department and rebuilt it back up. That's correct.
They were the first ones to do it, and they've been like just open with everything, like ever since. And you would think, and especially like with, I guess it's because of the size of these law enforcement agencies, to even where when you got that case, I want to say the 23-year-old young black guy that got murdered. I think he was like a special individual. I'm not trying to be funny. But they literally killed him in even whenever the medics and stuff got there, they overdosed him on ketamine, and they was picking at him, mocking him,
Right.
everything. So
Right.
now they have the nerve to act and want to be surprised that they're being prosecuted now.
Well, they are.
But how are you surprised? How are you like? What you're doing.
Well, let me ask you a
What
question.
you're saying.
What was the ethnicity of the person that they harmed?
Oh, you already know that he was black. I want to say his name was Elijah or Eli or something like that. I don't have my notes with me.
Yeah, but I mean that's why they're surprised, because think about it this way. If you've been used to being able to harm, to threaten, to harass, to violate human rights of people that are of color for the longest, and now all of a sudden they're trying to tell you it's not cool, but it's part of your training. And before people sit there and they start coming at me about, well, Brian, they don't teach them to hate black people and people of color. Yeah, they kind of do. It may be an unwritten rule. Would I find it in their SOP? Probably not.
No.
It's never that blatant. It's just more inferred. It's more
No.
of the unwritten rules that go along with it to say, hey, listen, we view, see, you got to understand, police forcing is right out of slavery.
Yeah.
Slavery had it where when we sat there and we ran too far out, that's when they would bring you back in. That's when they would ask you questions of where you been, where you going, who you belong to, and all that kind of stuff. Does these questions kind of sound familiar? When
Right.
you get pulled over, where you at? Where you going? Where you been? You know, all this kind of stuff. Don't you get kind of asked them same questions?
Yeah,
So
you do.
it's inbred, it's embedded, I mean. And
Right.
that's where we get when we start talking about critical race theory and we start talking
Mhm.
about things being embedded in things. A lot of times they don't
It's
even realize
conditioned.
it's
Right.
preconditioned. They don't even
Right.
realize it's in there because it's just a natural thing. When you start breathing, you don't think about every breath that you take in. You do it without thinking. You don't know how many times you breathed over the last minute. You took a breath the last minute because it's
Right.
natural. So now you're telling them, wait a minute, there's going to be consequences if we sit there and beat the living crap out of black people. When
Yep.
did that happen? I mean, I understand that there's video, but you know, isn't the officers remember when there was no video and if the officer said this set
Right.
of facts happened, but the black person said, nah, that ain't what happened. Let me tell you what really happened. And you go to court with that, who they gonna believe?
The
It was
officer.
always gonna be the officer's
The
word.
officer.
Your word don't mean jack. And then when other
Right.
people look on the outside looking in, they're like, well, man, if you're just not resisted, I'm sorry, when somebody's kicking the living crap out of you, my body's probably
You
gonna
don't tend to stay still.
I'm probably gonna do like this. That's not me resisting, that's just a natural body reaction.
Right.
You know, that's not me
Right.
resisting. That's me
Because you don't
saying,
want to get hit no more like
excuse
that.
me, excuse my French, y'all. That's just me saying, hey, that shit hurt.
Right.
That's all I'm saying to you is it
Mhm.
hurt. I'm not resisting, but I'm trying to resist the pain. But I can't.
That's what you resist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, and so like they have the nerve to, to just act like, I mean, this like you said, this has been happening throughout the decades, you know what I'm saying? And now we are just now, Big Brother is actually on the side of the people that did not have a voice, the people that did not have or could not afford those high paid attorneys, and those people that, because Al Sharpton can't be everywhere, and or all these other high profile cases, you know what I'm saying? Everybody don't have that clout, everybody don't have that money. So Big Brother and other people that are out there, that just says, okay, you know what? I have enough. I've seen enough of this. I've had enough of this. It's time to hold these people accountable. We've had about 2 or 3 cases right here in North Carolina. Now it was not Charlotte, but it was right outside of Charlotte. I think the most recent one was whenever these 2 couples. This couple just on the outskirts of Catawba County got pulled over about between 10:30, 10:45 at night. And out come this overwhelming amount of cops. Everybody got their guns drawn down, snatched them out of the car, stereotypical, just over excessive force, busted out the young man's window. And he actually had a good reason why he couldn't roll down his window. His window just couldn't come down. So they think, oh, here's a good idea, smash, and all this was just over a paper license that the officer couldn't see, so he did the right thing. It used to be just a female precaution that we would put out there, like, for general safety. You get blue lights behind you, get to a well-lit area,
Oh no,
because,
oh no, if you do that now, they think you're resisting. And then once you come
yeah,
to a well-lit area, that's just a
yeah.
well-lit area for them to beat the living crap out of you.
Right. So even when we would say that, we would advise, put on your flashers, bring your speed down to almost a crawl, because then they can't say, you was evading or they in hot pursuit and all this other stuff they love to throw in there. And then they still come out, with all this aggression, trying to, knowing that they are agitating the situation far more than what it should be. And all it was an expired tag. All it was maybe a light might have been out. These, whenever I was policing, we used to call these courtesy stops. because that's exactly what they were, and that's exactly what they should have been. They should have just like, hey, I just wanted to let you know you got your light out. You might want to get that fixed or whatever the case may be. And it was just for record keeping. This was just for record keeping. We would call it a fix-it ticket. See, I'm older. Like my policing is a little dated, so the terminology may have changed a little bit, but the concept is still the same. So we would give you like a fix-it ticket, and we was like, okay, well, you have by such and such date to get this fixed. Now it can be a citable offense, but this is just me, acting on my discretion. You probably didn't know and everything, and we know that people forget. So here you go. Just get it fixed and go on about your merry way. No, when they're pulling someone like us over, people that look like you and I, it turns into a felony stop.
So
yeah, go ahead.
So where did it change where, because it's all about the narrative, right? Where people will try to make you believe what you're seeing is the exception and not the rule, where they will say things like, well, every walk of life has a few bad apples, and we don't want to judge the whole bunch over just a few bad apples. And I'm trying to figure out, damn, if I had that many bad apples, I think I'd burn the whole damn thing down and start planting some new trees, because it seemed like every apple I shake is bad.
Right
now, and let me expound on that, because what they always tried to do was say it was simply the officer that committed the offense that was the bad apple. But I submit to anybody watching that if you're an officer and you see another officer do things that they ain't got no business doing, and you don't step up at that time, everybody can be a hero later. No, I want to know that if you really believe in your job, you'll step up at that time and stop that wrong from occurring. If you allow it to happen, your silence is giving it life and saying that it's okay.
Right.
So many officers will say, well, I didn't have nothing to do with it, but you were there.
Right.
If you were there,
makes you just
saw it happen,
and it makes you just as responsible, just as accountable.
You might as well join in.
Right.
Because when you don't, you still are.
Right. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, when the roles are reversed. There ain't no if. When the roles are reversed. And let's just say you and I. Let's just say I went out there and I shot somebody up and you wasn't even expecting it. Okay, like you really wouldn't. Someone pissed me off and I just pop them off. Pop. I get arrested and everything, blah, blah, blah. They come to find out that you were there. And you honestly just be like, listen, CJ scared me. I didn't even know he was going to do that. Well, guess what's going to happen to you, Mr. Bryan? And this is what they're going to tell you in almost verbatim. They're going to say, you were there. You could have. You should have.
Yeah.
And because you could have and you should have, and you didn't do nothing about it. As a matter of fact, you even left the scene of the crime. They're going to throw all these things at you. Now, you might as well went ahead and got your own gun and shot him up too.
Well, I got to push back a little bit. When you say they're going to say all of that, who's going to say that? Other police?
Yes, this is going to be the investigator. This is going to be the prosecutor. This is going to be the DA.
You mean if you did that to a white person, right? I'm being serious. I'm gonna tell you why I say that, because down in Louisiana there was a case where an African American man sat there and sped away. It was a car chase. He hit a tree. And he and the officers basically, now the guy ended up dying, but according to the officers, it was the collision with the tree that caused him to die. And that's what they wrote in their reports, that the collision with the tree caused him to die. They suppressed the body cam footage for over 2 years, only to find out that the body cam footage showed that this man was well alive after he crashed the tree, In fact, they started beating the living crap out of him once he got out of the car.
Exactly.
He was sitting there not resisting. At one point, they even sat there and had him flat on his stomach and started dragging him by his feet.
Yes.
And the officer is on the body cam talking about, I kicked the living crap out of him because he kept resisting.
Mm-hmm.
So the report that they filed didn't even match with the video. So my question to you is all them people standing around to this day still haven't faced any true accountability yet, because all they did was they buried it. And had it not been for constant pressuring by the family to get this public information out, it would have never come to the light of day. So I'm sorry. I just have no confidence in policing police. Depending on, it kind of depends on, because you got to think about it. If they pulled over the car and it was Warren Buffett that got out of the car, this wouldn't have happened. If they had pulled over the car and it was Jerry Seinfeld, this wouldn't have happened. You know, it had to be that it was somebody that was of color, because that's almost like pulling over a dog. It's actually worse than pulling over a dog, because at least you treat the dog.
I guess they actually have more respect for a dog.
Right. Yeah. But when that person is a person of color, the way that they view and the way that they look at their boundaries with that person is totally different. So I have no faith at all in any existing police institution to say, hey, you were there, you're culpable because you didn't go by our procedures. The commanding officer did everything that he could to cover it up, even to the point that lately he said, no, that was on me, because I didn't even watch the body cam footage when they filed it. I just took their word for what happened. Now, if that's true, that's really a failure to do your job, right?
Yes, I was about to say that.
I don't think it's a dereliction of duty, but I don't think it's even a dereliction of duty. I think he knew what was on it. I think they told him, and he just said, "Don't worry about it. I got you," because they have a code, right?
They do.
You have a blue code.
Right. And it's well, you know, most people kind of like nicknamed it now the blue wall of silence. But basically all it is, it's the good old boy system. You and I have always known it's the good old boy system. But even let's just say, because now, you know, we're a little bit more integrated. You know, we used to say it because it was predominantly, you know, ran by all white males. But now that we got females in the mix, and now we have people of color in the mix, that's not really making a difference either. Because what it all boils down to, it really ain't. What it all boils down to is that it's still a lot more of that conditioned mind. That, because I wanted to clear up something. It's training, but it's not training. You were a little bit more accurate with it when you said it's not in a SOP. Right. It's not. That is 100% correct. You will never ever see, hey, this is how you treat white, this is how you treat black, this is how you treat the rich, this is how you treat the poor. It won't be in there like that. Where that kind of training and that kind of mental conditioning policing comes from is you actually being out in the field and you actually see it taking place. And the first couple times you'll be like, okay, well, maybe this doesn't happen all the time. And mind you, you're a rookie, you're green. You don't really know the ins and outs of how different things work. And, you know, who are the shot callers and different things like that. And then, you know, of course, you know, you have your people that they really do want to push back, but it's too many of them. This is how you know it is in the system, because you might slide something past your corporal. Your corporal is stopped right at the there you go. He stopped at the sergeant, and your sergeant, let's just say that they're being very transparent to the to the chief. Well, the chief says, well, we have a public image to upkeep. So we can't let this stuff get out, you know, and that's where it begins. So the corruption, the blue wall actually begins, and this is what ties into our platform. What you got going on today is politics and law enforcement. That's the root of your
Well,
blue
yeah,
wall.
yeah. Well,
That
well,
is the
you're right.
root.
You're right, because what strengthens that blue wall? The police union. How does the police union get shelter? Because they make donations and they back candidates that will sit there and basically say, "Hey, now, you know, they keep talking about wanting to take away qualified immunity, and we can't let that happen, right? Because they
Right.
need that. They need that umbrella of protection." If I
Exactly.
sat there and said, you know, it's funny, if I was a doctor and there was no such thing as malpractice,
Mhm.
you know, where I could sit there and maybe I had a couple of shots, you know, half an hour before I was doing surgery and I botched a surgery, I could be held personally liable for that person dying on the operating table, right? Everybody understands that. If I'm a
Correct.
lawyer and I practice some kind of, you know, do something unethical, I can be disbarred. I can be brought up for ethics investigations and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
what we say to people that have the power to end your freaking life
Right.
is that there is no accountability at all. And it's
Right.
legal. It's fucking legal. That's the crazy part. And they don't want to step. That's why they're not worried about the cameras. That's why Derek Chauvin thought he could just sit there and smirk in front of the camera, because qualified immunity is still the law of the land. He's like, hey, I'm shielded. I'm the
Right.
law. I'm the judge, jury, and freaking executioner. Get
Right.
used to it, black folks.
The
No,
Tackleberries and the Judge Dreads.
yeah,
Yeah. Um, yeah, and honestly, man, even whenever they was because they will teach you a little bit about qualified immunity. They don't really get into it because see, that's one of those things that you're going to learn about. They'll say in the field. That's one of those in the field things. You'll learn about it in the field. Like once you get out there, we're just going to touch it on. We're just going to touch on it in the classroom. So here's what they say in the police academy. They'll say it almost like with the same uh sense of the Good Samaritan when it the Good Samaritan Act when it comes to
yeah,
your health.
right.
You know, we are a trusted entity. You know, we're trusted by the public. So our word just is automatically, you know, it's 100. So that's why if when you have situations where you do have to fight a traffic ticket or you going up, you know, for some criminal case or something like that, that's why the civilian will always have to have 2 or 3 credible witnesses because the one officer he can just stand alone
Yeah. And, see,
because that's the way that the
and you're
system
right. That's a good point. The problem is that
set up.
things aren't weighted properly.
Right.
Officers already walk in with a certain level of credibility. And how many times is it going to take us to see that they lie? They
Exactly.
when they shot up Breonna Taylor's
Do you breathe?
apartment,
You a lie?
they didn't even list her as a casualty initially.
No. No, public pressure did that. Public media, the media did that.
And it takes all of that, you
It
know.
was people like you and me. It was people like you and me and other like large platforms to get justice for these cases that would just be another stereotype.
Right.
You know.
And even when you do get the occasional charge, most of the time they know that the district attorney, if it's the local district attorney that has to prosecute the same officers that they have to work with when they're sitting there doing big cases and things like that, there's a reluctance to sit there and prosecute. As a matter of fact, the only reason that Derek Chauvin received any justice at all was that the local district attorney was not able to preside over this case. Keith Ellison, the state attorney general, stepped in and said, no, we're going to prosecute this.
Right.
He didn't even let the local attorney general do it because he knew what would have happened. Had the local attorney general remained over that case, Derek Chauvin and the other 3 officers would not only not be in jail right now, they would still be on the force.
Right. Exactly.
They would still be getting pension. They would still be on to the next. Don't say that word.
Yeah.
I got to be on to the next black person.
Yeah, right.
I was going to say from their point of view, but they can be on to the next N word and sit there and harass them because it's just the status quo, right? Because because if you had kids and they believed that no matter what they did, they weren't going to get in trouble, well, they damn near do anything.
Right.
That's human nature.
What happens.
That's human nature. If I believe you got this gun, you got tasers, and you got this protection called qualified immunity that basically says, hey, even if you go too far, it's okay.
Right. We got you. We got you. Because we can bury it. Right. Exactly. Because we can bury it. Or I have a niece, I have a cousin that's the local attorney, or whoever's going to presiding. They got the judge in their pocket because they got some stuff on the judge. Listen, if it's not one hand that's watching the other, is we got dirt on somebody. That's the system, and that's the corruption. We say it. We try to put it out there. We try to scream it to everybody, and it almost feels like you just screaming at the wall. But when we can get these few in there, I feel like it will eventually start to catch. I'm trying. I am so on the fence when you said that you don't have no faith.
None.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But the only reason why I'm trying to exercise what little bit of faith is because I was one of those police officers that actually gave a damn. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. You say damn.
That I actually cared, and that I was trying to make a change. And just because my uniform said Navy for the most of my law enforcement years, I wasn't always just military. I actually started out civilian and then working in the jails as a detention officer. That's where I began to learn how to, we call it, use my words, because when you're locked up in that part with 30 other convicted people, you better learn how to talk real smooth and real nice. And you're going to be very careful with your words because it's just literally you and them. So that's what I begin to like home in like my skill set and learning how to talk, de-escalate situations, learn how to wait on your backup, different things like that. But I said all that to say this. Right now, we have to do our due diligence as media, as just general people in public, as to put more eyes on situations that has the potential to go south, and to hell with, officers trying to come up to you, trying to intimidate you, let you know, I'm gonna lock you up because you impeding my investigation. First of all, get to know what you can do. Now, the media, we can do a whole lot.
Well, CJ, I put up how do we change this, and let me tell you how we don't change this first before I tell you how we change this.
Okay, go ahead, my brother.
We don't change this by giving police departments more money to look more like military than they do police. And what I mean by that is that walking around with AK-47s, high capacity rifles, they're walking around with tanks. They're buying things off of the military that they don't want anymore because it's a business, right? We have over a $700 billion a year defense budget from the U.S. government. $700 billion, yet they cry over having enough money for Medicare, Medicaid, universal health care, all these other things, but they can spend all that money on defense. But even then they sit there and make more money, because then when certain equipment and things like that get a certain age, then they sell it off to local jurisdictions. That should not look like the freaking military. The military is a defense.
Right.
Police is supposed to be to protect and serve, but they look like they're going to war.
Exactly.
So we do not sit there and fix this by continuing to militarize our police. We do not fix this by simply just saying that we will set up committees to look into this and then to do their studies and their oversights and all that stuff. We do not fix this by saying we need to do more training. If I hear that anymore,
man, I'm so sick of that.
Listen,
God.
It's not training.
About the training.
It's not training for me to tell you that just because somebody has a darker skin complexion, that they're still a freaking human being that needs to be treated as if they were your relative.
Right. And
That's
this whole
not,
sensitivity training and stuff like that, man, get out of here.
Training. That's another excuse. Oh, they needed to be trained. Maybe you should have done that before you gave them a gun on their hip.
Yeah.
If they couldn't wrap their minds around that before you put a gun on their hip, they never should have had a gun on their hip. How many times do these people have regular meetings with a psychologist to make sure that they ain't crazy as hell?
After the first one? You mean after the first one?
No. I mean routinely, just making sure that this person ain't crazy as hell.
I'm being sarcastic because you only see one. Yeah. You only see one, and that's in the application process.
Yeah.
And that's before
if you're talking about something that should be routine, you can have the training, but do I think that they should sit in front of a shrink every couple of months just to make sure that they not off? Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm all about that.
And do I believe that shrink should be employed by the police department? Hell to the no.
No.
It need to be a third-party person that comes in there that has no ties to that organization that can give their strongest opinion. That way you don't have somebody just rubber stamping officers. Exactly. If they know it's just one of them kind of giving them, hey, you know what you got to say to be able to go back out there, say those magic words, and I'll sign this piece of paper and you good to go. That doesn't fix the problem either.
Right.
We need to have, what we really need to do to fix this problem is keep the community engaged. We need to vote. We need to put people out there that have values and things like that. We always get on this show and we talk about national elections and things like that. And we just had a statewide election in California just the other day. It was a recall, but it was still a statewide election. I mean, more than 12 million people had to come out and vote. That's pretty huge. But we need to engage the community. And I don't want to hear this crap anymore about, well, the officers should police the areas they live in. Why? If they still hate black people, who cares? I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn if you live halfway.
That's not a real solution.
If you live halfway across town, I could give two craps about that. Just because they live in that community don't mean they give a damn about it. Maybe they only give a damn about half of that community that happens to look like them. I would almost say that if you're in a nice community and you're a person of color, you're more of a target to these people because they, number one, resent the fact that you're in their neighborhood.
And they're going to get you up out of there.
You're a target.
Exactly.
So I don't believe all that stuff about community policing and training and all that mess. The answer to all of this is we need to teach our kids that everybody on this green earth has the same inalienable rights, that we are given that at birth. I don't have to earn it. I don't have to vote for it. I don't have to sit there and prove myself to get it. Damn it, from the moment that I am conceived, my rights are there. And you can't sit there and determine whether you're going to violate my civil rights because of something called qualified immunity. That's the only way we're going to get out of this. And we're going to have to blow up qualified immunity. And they're like, well, Brian, if you do that, then officers are going to be
qualified immunity takes away accountability.
You know what?
Right.
You know what? If you have to pause because you're going, should I really shoot this black person in the back from running away? maybe you should pause. Now
Right.
it's different if you're in a situation and you don't know what's going on and it's very, very dangerous. But a lot of these times it's nothing like that. The escalation is coming from the officer.
Right.
You know,
And
when
that's
people
and that's what
when
they're
people
finding.
now they're finding when people run, hell, running is almost like resistant to them. Running is just as bad as you reaching for my gun. I'm running away from you. What threat did I pose to you? I drove
You know,
away from you. Why are you unloading your gun into my vehicle?
and you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I believe that you're referencing the same scenario that I had in my mind about the guy that got shot in the back in South Carolina. Uh, but
It happened to a guy in Wisconsin where he walked back to his car, bent
mhm.
over, and they said, "Oh, we think he was going to go for a gun." Well, if
Oh,
you
okay,
thought he was going
wow,
to go for a gun, why
okay,
you let him walk all the way around to the car?
right, yeah, okay, yeah.
Did you see a
So
gun? Did you find a
again,
gun?
right, again, man, it
Come on.
just whenever you're out in the field and you're talking with these guys that are trigger happy, you know, and you I agree with our people out there that just say that they are cowards. They don't represent uh what a law enforcement officer should be doing, and that is protecting and serving.
That's a
First of
cliche.
all, you have sworn an oath,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And that oath, and trust me, I've taken a many of them. You are saying that you are there to protect the weak, the helpless,
That ain't what it say.
to serve,
They there to protect white folks and their
serve
property
right,
and Confederate
exactly.
statues.
You are there to serve the community in whatever capacity there is. That's why, as a child, and before I knew better and different things like that, and the first person I saw to come walking into the multi-purpose room, I know I'm dating myself. I said multi-purpose room on
Mm.
a career day was a police officer, and he looked real sharp. And I saw all the the Batman belt and all this stuff and everything. He reached down, he shook my hand, and he called me by my name, and I was just blown away. And I was like, "How did you know my name?" He goes, "Police officers know everything." And from that moment, I had said to myself, "That's who I want to be. That's what I want to be." I thought, you know. And then, of course, your mind and stuff like that gets changed by life happening. And then you're seeing, okay, hey, you treating me and my family and my people like that. You ain't supposed to be doing that. So then I was turned off. But then when I became old enough, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of being one of the ones that complains. What can I do? I know I'm gonna join them. I'm gonna talk they talk. I'm gonna walk they walk enough to actually show them what they should be doing. And what it is, B, is that you don't have enough. You don't have enough officers that
Thanks, sir.
are there on the scene to intervene. This is why they brought in this new policy. It ain't new. It's not new. You have a duty. Something within you says, "Hey, help stop that. Help prevent that." They going a little too hard, and this is what the public needs to really know. You have the right to intervene when you have your potential cases that end up turning into a George Floyd. You
Yeah.
see it. It's happening to you. It's happening to someone in broad daylight.
I'm going to retract what I said. I think there should be qualified immunity, but it should be for the officers that sit there and speak up against other officers.
Yeah.
It's funny how I know at least in the African American community, I don't want to speak for other communities,
Okay.
there was always this code of no snitching. No
Yeah.
snitch, no
Oh,
snitch.
yeah.
And it's a real code. There's people that are in prison today Not because they necessarily did anything wrong, but they were not willing to actually snitch and tell who actually did it. So they actually ended up taking the fall for somebody else. And police, and it's funny as police sit there and talk about these communities like, hey, you shouldn't do that. If you see something, say something and everything else. They really need to look themselves in the damn mirror when they say that, because they have the same no snitching policy. Exactly. And a lot of officers will sit there and tell you, well, Brian, if I sit there and do that, there's no way I can walk in that precinct anymore. And if you're in prison and you're known to be a snitch, you might as well go to segregation, because if they put you in the population, you ain't gonna make it. No, that's your ass. You ain't gonna make it, because it's the same idea that if I walk around with that stench, what they say, I smell a rat. They throw your mattress outside. They do all these things to sit there and let you know, hey, we know you're a snitch. Well, the same thing happens on the police force. If they feel like you've turned against one of your own, don't matter what color you are. If you put on that uniform, y'all all the same. If you turn against your own, then there are going to be real consequences for you. And there shouldn't be any consequences. So I'm actually kind of down for qualified immunity from the standpoint that other cops should be insulated from catching any backlash for doing the right thing. Hey, before you say anything, I just got a comment from my man Curtis McCoy. Shout out to him. Brother always stepping up. He said, what about if you don't turn your camera on and act on an accident, or you shoot someone, you should be charged with tampering with evidence. Abso-freaking-lutely, because that's exactly what you're doing. When if you know the protocol is this, it doesn't say, hey, only when I pull over a white person, roll tape, Freddie. No, when you're engaged in something, you always turn it on. The whole idea behind that was to cover you just as much as you're covering the person that you're about to interact with.
Exactly.
But see, they turn it on, or they turn the volume off, so you can't really hear what's happening.
Oh,
or they turn it on when it gets real juicy, but you can't tell what led up to that moment. And then they use that disguise of, well, y'all only seeing it from this point. You don't know what led up to that, and try to use that as almost plausible deniability.
And let me tell you something, guys. These officers are not that smart. Most of them, or if any of them, actually went to some type of law school to learn case law. What they're learning this from is that they're getting these ideas to either play music that they know that you can't record because of rights and different things like that. That was like the smartest thing that I've seen so far. Or like you said, or just flat out just turn off the volume and act like you had technical difficulties. But yes, absolutely right. I think it's 2 police officers so far that are being charged with tampering with their cameras and stuff. So like I said, it hasn't caught fire yet, but you're starting to see it a little more. So you can only imagine in your mind, like, just how much or how long these officers have been getting away with. I don't even want to call them officers, because they're not. They're not officers.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not. Well, they're not police officers according to what a police officer really should be.
Well, but see, what somebody should be and what they are is the difference between reality and being delusion. It's the same thing as me reading my daughter fairy tales about she gonna be a princess, and then some dude on some damn horse gonna come and take her away, and they're gonna live happily ever after. It's a fairy tale. What you think a police officer should be and what we actually dealing with is 2 totally different things. It doesn't mean they're not a police officer. That is the reality. That's the problem. We cannot not call them police officers. That is who they are. And the problem is for the longest we've tried to distance the ones that we catch on camera as being the black sheep, as being the outlier. I'm telling you, more than not, that is actually more of a mainstream. You know, it's like how we used to sit there and talk about Republicans and the right wing of the Republicans and the extremists and the Trump people and those crazies. And we used to say, oh, that's just an extreme faction. And I don't know when people are going to realize, no, that's the damn party.
Yeah,
it might not be every last one of them, but I'm telling you that the
so who are the apples then?
The Kinzigers are being outweighed by all of the other nuts and lunatics.
So it goes back to our original question. What are or who is the true few apples? The few apples are the good ones, the ones that are actually doing their job.
Precisely.
Those are the few.
Right.
So we can get rid of the bad. There is no such thing as a few bad apples. It is a few good apples that are apples.
That's always been sold so that it doesn't, so that if you sell it as a few bad apples, what you're doing is you're minimizing the problem. You're saying, hey, it's not as bad as you think it is. It's just, oh, every time you happen to have the camera on and you catch some bad stuff, oh, that's just a few bad apples. Don't worry about that. We're not going to defund the police. We're not going to blow this up over a few bad apples. How crazy would that be? Nobody's going to make business decisions just because one or two customers sit there and come in your store and steal. Now, if everybody was walking out with a damn TV, then okay, maybe I'll go get some security. But if it ever happens, just it's a few bad apples, surely I'm not going to change my whole business plan based off of that. So that's their way of sitting there sidestepping this issue and not making it as big as it is. You know, the sad part is that it took camera phones to even bring it to light. Yet the sad part is that sometimes even that ain't good enough.
No, and this is why the more cameras, the better.
Really?
Yeah. And here's the thing. I remember, like I said, I'm old school. I saw cameras come in. So I came in during the era whenever this change was starting to take place. I was sworn in 96. So over these years, I mean, it was a big resistance to these cameras from the very start. They never wanted the cameras. Let me tell you, they never wanted the cameras, but now we starting to see why. Because
we know why.
Because I can't do what I can't do in the light what I did in the dark.
But see, CJ, you got to remember that's partially true. They always been doing what they were doing, and they've had people sitting there watching them do it and everything else. The whole thing with George Floyd really happened because COVID was going on. People weren't being distracted by everything else. This is such a distracted society that we live in. How many times do you see people walking down the street, not even checking to see if they're about to walk a crosswalk because they're looking down at their phone to see how many people just like their latest post, or they're following a celebrity on Instagram? We are so distracted that as soon as Nicki Minaj start twerking over here, whatever I was just talking to you about, that's dead. I'm watching Nicki. I can get distracted like that because it's just out there like that.
Goldfish for real. We
hey, my man Randall Hargrove, you're absolutely right. Good cops watching their brothers in blue doing criminal activity is criminal activity. Silence is compliance. Couldn't say
yes, sir.
You're absolutely right. If you if you really want to prove that that badge means more to you than covering for somebody you know doing wrong, you have to step up and find that courage. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. You're not going to be the most popular person in the building. If anything, you're probably going to end up being a black sheep. You know, the cancel culture is real.
It's a cold world when you're a good cop. I'm telling you, it's a cold world.
But the more good ones, and you're going to probably have to be a trailblazer. You're going to have to be one of those people. You know, normally the first person to do something isn't necessarily the most popular person, because normally they're going against the grain when they do it. For somebody to be a trailblazer, whether it's space travel, where it's developing technology and anything else, you're doing something that hadn't been done before. And most people reject that because you're stepping outside of people's comfort zones.
Exactly.
Okay. That's where the good leaders come from, are the ones that said, you know what? We can do better. How do we do better? Is when we expect things to be better. When we stop sitting there saying, this is how it is. It ain't never going to be anything like that. We have to sit there and demand more. If you got to march. If you got to protest. When you need to vote, bring your ass out there and vote. If it's mail-in ballots, learn the issues. Stop waiting every 4 years for the president. The president don't run nothing, y'all.
He's just the scapegoat, man. Like, I don't know when people are going to get that.
The president don't. You know how many votes the president has in Congress? None.
Absolutely none.
He can sit there and talk about all these different policies and everything, but he needs a super majority of people in the Senate and a majority in the House to get any of those things implemented. But him or her in and of themselves isn't the biggest thing. The biggest thing are all them other fools up in there.
Yeah.
All those other factions, people on the local level. Go to your local school board meetings. Go to your local county commission meetings. Learn who these people are so that when you're on the ballot and you're not just voting straight line, I'm a Democrat, I'm gonna vote all Democrats. I don't care what they believe in.
Yeah, man, don't do that.
As a Republican, all the Republicans, all that kind of stuff. Don't fall for that okie doke. That's what they want you to do. They know that we're in a distracted society and that things will pull you in so many different ways. Your kids, your job, everything else that's in front of you, social media and everything else. They want you to not stay aware. So what happened with George Floyd, people got a chance because there were fewer distractions to see this happening on camera. And the outrage was not only just throughout the state, but it was universal.
The world.
The world started saying,
the world saw that.
This is crazy. Yeah. So what we really have to do is stay engaged. We can't wait for police to sit there and say, I think we need to do better. Let's set up a commission and blah, 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 blah. And let's do some more training and let's fund this and fund that. Man, get out of here with that mess.
Nah, you don't need to.
Saying, you know what? I'm done with you. Enough is enough. We are done. We demand and we expect more. Our voices have to be heard. But it's when you have the courage to use your voice, use your platform, reach out to people. Like I said, vote. Stop waiting every 4 years to think that that's going to make a change. That's not going to make a change, y'all. My man Curtis McCoy says, the problem goes up the food chain from the captains to the sergeants and to the officers. Amen. If we ask you to release the video, don't give it to us all chopped up. And if we pay for the cameras, the evidence belongs to the people. Kurt, you are, man,
dead on, bro.
Kurt, you are dead on. Kurt, you acting like Nas right now, man. You just spitting bars, man. You spitting bars. For real. You can't be realer than that because, yes, you can't expect police to police themselves. That's just crazy.
Ain't nobody gonna do that. That's just like you leaving your kids.
Wait a minute. If I got the footage and I can edit it, you don't think I'm gonna give you the version that makes me look the best?
Exactly.
Listen, I'm an actor, right? I'm not gonna sit there and edit my reel and have anything in there that make me look like a terrible actor. Exactly. How am I ever gonna get cast in anything? I'm gonna cast everything to make me look like a badass. You're gonna be like, woo, he did that. Boy, he
did that.
Woo, he good. That boy good.
That boy good.
You go, man, he kind of sorry, So nobody's gonna purposely do that. We definitely want to be able to have the evidence. We want to have the raw footage. I mean, and they sitting there acting like, well, we can't give you the raw footage because we have to protect this and protect. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
What should happen is these footages should be turned over to third parties that are separated. There needs to be layers not bureaucracy layers, but there needs to be layers to say, hey, listen, when there's an officer involved shooting, that automatically gets pulled out of the actual department in that precinct. They have nothing to do with it, because you want to make sure for a lot of reasons, even for the officers. If you want me to believe that you're credible, how much more credible would it be if you turn it over to an independent?
Exactly.
If you're doing it internally and in-house, I'm always going to sit there and believe that there might be some hanky-panky going on.
Right.
Right. But if you turn it over, and see, here's the thing. If you're willing to turn it over to a third party, you know what you're saying to me? Hey, B, I know for a fact we did everything by the book. I ain't even worried about it. Here you go. Do what you want with it. You know what I'm saying? So when you're sitting there and you're resisting like that, what you're trying to tell me is that you want to control the narrative. And this shouldn't be about controlling the narrative. It should be about producing the truth.
Exactly.
Not your truth or your version of the truth, but the unedited, unadulterated truth. That's all we want. If you wrong, be able to say, you know what? We messed up.
And be accountable. You see, it's about it's not even so much what it really boils down to is when you are found wrong, because you will be found wrong. There is no such thing as a perfect agency out there, none of that. But when you are wrong, it's just like how we teach our young men. Whenever I'm sitting down, I'm talking to my children about something that they should know better about what to do. Yeah. You know, and they got caught and whatever. Now, son, now, daughter, now you got to face consequences for your actions. Okay, this is what happened. This is what you did. Everything like that. Okay, we got that out the way now. Now, here is the consequences. Here's the punishment.
But why do we hold our children more accountable than we do our leaders?
Exactly.
Why do we hold our children more accountable than our officials? You hit the nerve in that, and I'm thinking, yeah, I always sat there and said that to my kids. But why is it you can elect a president and they have no accountability like that?
Because he's the president.
When you elect your congressman or you elect your senator, whether they're state or they're federal, why do we not hold people to account? But we raise our kids in that same way, where you say, hey, if you messed up, that's okay. Just own it.
Own it. Learn from it.
Learn from it. Deal with the consequences, and let's move on.
Exactly.
Well, there's a lot of corruption out there that keeps a lot of that from happening, but that would be really nice to see. So,
but like I said, man, I'm just like every day. I mean, it's almost like shooting fish in a barrel. Every day, my stream is highlighted with all kinds of injustices, all kinds of excessive force and everything. And I know, people probably get tired of hearing it, but man, as long as this stuff is out there, you will be hearing Elephant Exposed, and I will be talking about it, and that's just where I'm at.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about Elephants Exposed? I know we got a close in just a second, but do share with the audience what you got going on with that.
Yeah. So what I do is that I try to use this platform to further expose things that these corrupt officers, sometimes these corrupt agencies, try to hide and try to sneak, because it's not trending in the media or not trending like it should. So, and it's because of like your George Floyd's, your Breonna Taylor's, your Elijah calls and different things like that, or people you don't know. So what I do is that I'll go in and I put it out there for everyone to see, and I'm in hopes that people would see what I'm putting out there, have a discussion about it, and help expose these people that are trying to hide. And that's why it is called Elephant Exposed, because you see the elephant in the room. Now let's talk about this elephant. Let's get it on out there.
So this is talking about the elephant that's in the room that everybody sees it, but just tries to act like it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like this big old thing behind me right now. You see that elephant? So let's talk about it.
And there's definitely a lot of elephants out there. That's what we also try to do on Head to Head. And we're gonna definitely wrap up in just a second, but want to thank everybody for coming in. We've had a lot of folks coming in, viewing our feeds and stuff like that. So it's been really, really good to have you all. We do this every single week. We normally have a bigger panel, but sometimes the panel is big, sometimes it's small. It doesn't matter. We definitely want to hear your voices. I appreciate all the comments that have come through. Remember, you can always share your comments, the live chat, or you can always come on. I'll pull you in and you can join the discussion. If you ain't afraid to get on camera, because as you can see, we are live. We are streaming Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and we also air the show on Roku as well. So yeah, we're doing a lot of things. Got folks overseas watching. That's exciting as well to see that happening. So the network is growing, but more important than anything else, we just kind of want to have a platform to be able to discuss those things and put some things out there. They're not always the most comfortable conversation. People always like, B, why you always bringing politics into stuff? Why you always, unfortunately, I can't barely talk about anything that don't have anything political leaning in it. And that's the sad part. Whether we're talking about masks, whether we're talking about kids going back to school, whether we're talking about having the right to vote, all these things have to do with politics. Whether I'm talking about having a good job and home ownership and all those kind of things, there are political leanings into them.
Yep.
Hell, the groceries that I buy, the food that I eat, it's got political leanings all in it. So it's like, what the hell do you want me to talk about that has nothing to do with politics? Because we politicized everything from Big Bird to Barney to damn Dr. Seuss. So I don't know what else I can talk about that don't have politics in it. I guess I have to end the show. But that ain't gonna happen. Y'all know that ain't gonna happen. Don't say that's gonna happen. I know y'all Cowboy fans want me to stop talking because I'm gonna talk about them Cowboys.
Bring it, baby. Bring it, baby.
As long as we have this platform, we're gonna talk about it. We invite you to do this with us each and every week. Join our YouTube so you'll get the live bell they'll let you know, or just look out for the reminders every single week about the show. Remember, if you're a sports fan, and ladies, I'm telling you, all you got to do is watch Head to Head Sports, 7:15 on Wednesdays when me and Randall Hargrove break down NFL. You will learn some terminology that will make your man impressed. You might not really know what you're talking about, but some of the stuff you pick up from me, he going to have to look at you and go, wait a minute, how you know about a 2 deep or a zero offense or a cover 2 and all that kind of stuff? He going to look at you like, okay.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
Be able to watch a game together. So, we break down the NFL every single week. So we do that. We've already done 27 shows over the last 13 months. This show, Head to Head with Brian Parker, has done 46 shows over the last 13 months. And guess what, y'all? We are just getting started. And we're going to do that because we got y'all along the way with us. We really, really appreciate y'all for coming in. I appreciate my man, CJ Jones, for joining me today. Hopefully we'll have some more of our panel back next week and everything. But until then, y'all, be good to each other. Don't sit there and let everything that's going on just bring you down. Try to find something good in life. If anything, if it ain't your kids that made you feel better, if it ain't your dog that made you feel better, maybe B made you feel better. And I'm good with that. I'm going to believe I made you feel better. CJ, as always, man, appreciate you. Have a good week. Look out for those elephants exposed. We'll have 2 guests next week. One talking about his book, another talking about an event going on in Charlotte, Festival in the Park. Looking forward to talking to them next week. Please join us. Until then, we'll see y'all later. Take care.
This a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket.